brief reflection for our edification. The story for many of us is old hat, and perhaps we know it so well that we've lost touch with its power. And because we celebrate Lent and Holy Week every year, it is easy to become, as it were, overly familiar with the story. In some cases, it's easy even to write it off. For me, Holy Week is like the high point in the liturgical year. We move through the calendar liturgical year, starting in Advent, preparing for the birth of Christ, moving through Lent, preparing for the death of Christ, and then this consummation of life at Easter, which bursts forth the church and the Spirit celebrated on Pentecost, and the green flourishing of ordinary time throughout the remainder of the spring and summer months, into the fall, until we come around again to Advent. And it can get tiresome year after year. And so one of the most important things that we can do is to latch on to one thing of the story. In the next couple days, latch on to one thing, one aspect of the story, and let that be your teacher, your companion. Perhaps focus in like a camera, zooming down to that one thing. One year I focused in on the strike of the face to Jesus in this scene. It's so intimate. He slapped Jesus, saying, "Don't speak that way to the high priest." That would be if a church member slapped the senior pastor, and the senior pastor just took it. But it's even all the more profound when you think about the intimacy of the high priest who represents the Jewish tradition and the lineage of Jesus, slapping Jesus in the face. Especially in light of the fact that we say that Jesus is the incarnation of the Word of God, the very Word of God that formed the Jewish Torah and shaped the Jewish worship. And here, Jesus, the Word of God, slapped in the face. It's a simple little thing, one little line in the story, but you can focus your attention on it. And I encourage you to read the story in the next couple days, tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, even Easter morning, and focus in on one thing. Just listen for one thing. It's a big, long story. And there's several perspectives of the story taken from each gospel. There's Luke's account, which is different from John's account. To focus in on one thing, look for that one thing, wait for that one thing to connect with this year and make it real for yourself in a new way. The thing I wanted to share tonight, the one thing for me this year, is the power of surrender, the power of weakness. And all of us can connect with that because we're not all winning all the time. We're not always successful or healthy or victorious all the time. The power of surrender, the power of weakness. Jesus, again and again in this story, and it continues as he gets arrested and taken to Pilate, and the whole experience of his trial with Pilate, and then, of course, his beating and the crown of thorns that's all to come tomorrow morning. But Jesus keeps surrendering to the powers that be, the system of the world that he was under. He keeps surrendering to it. And this, to me, is an extraordinary example of a way of nonviolence in the face of violence. And not all of us are called to give of our bodies in that way. Jesus was, and it broke the system in a certain sense. It broke the system of scapegoating, of making an innocent person guilty and taking care of people's shame and fears by killing someone and getting rid of someone. It kind of broke the system forever. We can never see that in the same way. But for me, in my spiritual journey, it's been very important to me this season to look at the weakness of Jesus as a way forward, as a viable way of being in this world. That not everyone can be successful and powerful and strong or healthy all the time. That there's a season in our life of letting go, of surrendering, of literally, into thy hands I give my whole spirit, my whole life, my whole body. And there it is for us 2,000 years ago, the foundation of Western civilization in many ways, the foundation of Christianity, is not a victory, is not a win, is a complete, utter failure, defeat. His disciples scattered. They were brokenhearted. And this is why I love Jesus so much, because he shows me the power of giving in, the power of surrender, the power of service, symbolized by foot washing. I think most Presbyterians are happy that we don't do foot washing once a month. We didn't make that the sacrament. We made bread and wine the sacrament. But as I read the Gospel of John, the sacrament actually is foot washing, the symbol of humbly serving those. And so it's become a symbol for all of us. We don't actually do foot washing, but the call is to serve others through this humility. And this humility is the way of surrendering, the way of letting go, the way of allowing ourselves to, so to speak, lose at the game of life. And to allow death to become a doorway into a new way of being alive, which the resurrection shows us is true. That is my brief reflection for edification this evening. Again, I encourage you to just zoom in on one little aspect and just make it your own for this year. You've heard what I've had to say. Take a moment in the silence and allow the Spirit to complete the message for you tonight.